Welcome back to AI Unraveled, your daily strategic briefing on the business impact of artificial intelligence. It is Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. Is the SaaS business model dead? That is the billion-dollar question shaking Wall Street today. Major software stocks are crashing as investors realize that tools like Claude Code might allow companies to build their own software rather than buy it. We are entering the era of Selfware. But while the market panics, OpenAI is printing money. The company just revealed it hit $20 billion in annual revenue, double that of Anthropic, and has committed over $1 trillion to future infrastructure. Also today, Elon Musk turns on the world's first gigawatt-scale supercomputer. OpenAI finally puts ads in ChatGPT, and a new whistleblower nonprofit launches to audit the AI safety claims of the big labs. But before we dive into the rundown, are you drowning in dense legal text? Jamgamind is the new audio intelligence platform that turns 100-page healthcare or energy mandates into 5-minute executive briefings. Whether you are navigating Bill C-27, Canada, or the CMS 0057F interoperability rule, USA, our AI agents decode the liability so you don't have to. Start your specialized audio briefing today at jamgamind.com. This podcast is created and produced by Etienne Newman, senior software engineer and passionate soccer dad from Canada. Now, let's unravel the news.
If you are holding traditional software stocks in your portfolio right now, you might want to sit down.
Oh, definitely.
Actually, scratch that. You might want to pour yourself a very strong drink first.
Very strong one.
Because looking at the markets this morning, the rules of the game didn't just change. They were, taken out back and shredded. It is an absolute bloodbath out there for the old guard.
It really is. We're seeing a correction today that feels less like a typical market fluctuation and more like a fundamental realization.
A waking up moment.
Exactly. It's as if the market finally woke up to a reality that, developers have been whispering about in private Slack channels for months. The illusion of safety in big software it just evaporated.
It's gone.
Exactly.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. It is Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. This is your AI Unraveled daily update where we try to strip away the hype and today, the panic to get right down to the signal.
There's a lot of panic.
A lot. If you're an executive trying to steer the ship through this storm, a developer wondering if your job just got automated overnight, or, an investor watching the ticker in horror, we have a packed agenda for you today.
We certainly do. We're tracking 4, I'd say, tectonic shifts today. First, we have to talk about the Selfware panic. This is the story driving all the headlines.
I'm everywhere.
Wall Street is dumping stalwarts like Adobe and Salesforce, and we need to explain exactly why the economics of software just inverted.
Then we're going to look at the $20 billion giant in the room, OpenAI. They released their revenue numbers, and they are massive. But they are also pivoting to ads, which is causing a whole different kind of controversy.
Oh, yeah.
I know my timeline is furious about it.
It's a contentious move, for sure. We'll also look at the infrastructure wars. XAI just turned on a cluster that consumes more power than the entire city of San Francisco.
Which is just a mind-bending stat.
It really is. And finally, we'll touch on some fascinating innovations in voice AI and safety auditing that are popping up on the radar as alternatives to the brute force approach.
There is so much to get through. I'm energized, but also a little terrified by the speed of all this. Let's jump right into the deep end. Segment 1, the Selfware panic and the potential death of SaaS.
Let's do it.
Okay, so the catalyst here seems to be this thing called Claude Code. This is Anthropic's coding tool. From what I'm reading in the sources, it's having a ChatGPT moment right now. Everyone is talking about it. Developers are obsessing over it. But why is a coding tool crashing the stock market?
It's because it's not just talking, it's building. That's the key difference. What we're seeing is this viral explosion of utility.
Okay.
The Morgan Stanley SaaS Index, which tracks all the biggest software as a service companies, is down 15% year to date.
15%.
That is a massive drop for a stable index. We aren't talking about volatile crypto coins here. We are talking about the backbone of the enterprise economy.
Right, the big dogs. Intuit, Adobe, Salesforce. These are companies that we thought had unshakable moats. They're seeing double-digit drops. I saw Salesforce took a particularly nasty hit this morning.
And to understand why, you have to look at the unit economics of SaaS. For 20 years, the model was rent the capability.
Right.
If you need a CRM, you buy Salesforce. You need creative tools, you buy Adobe. You pay a subscription fee, usually per seat, forever.
Forever is the key word.
That is SaaS, software as a service.
Mm-hmm.
The software margin is what, 80%? Because the code is written once and sold a million times.
Mm-hmm.
It's the zero marginal cost model.
Right, and Wall Street loves that. It's a money printer, predictable, recurring revenue.
The most predictable.
You sign a contract and you pay for 3 years whether you use all the features or not.
Precisely. That valuation depends entirely on the idea that the customer cannot build this tool themselves because it's too hard and it's too expensive.
No.
But what happens when an AI, like Claude Code, allows a CEO or a marketing director to build a bespoke custom tool that does exactly what they need for a fraction of the cost?
In a weekend.
In a weekend. The whole model breaks down.
This brings us to that term that's trending everywhere, Selfware. What is that exactly?
Right. Selfware is the transition from buying software to building it yourself. It shifts the model from, as I said, rent the capability to something more like rent the compute. If I build my own CRM using Claude, I'm not paying Salesforce for the feature of a contact list. I'm only paying Anthropic for the tokens. I mean, the electricity and compute used to generate the code for me.
Wait, let's pause on that because that is a massive shift. So we are moving from paying for the intellectual property of the software vendor, the logic they wrote, to paying for the electricity of the model provider.
Exactly. It turns software from an asset class into a utility class.
Like paying your water bill.
Precisely. And utilities do not trade at 50x earnings multiples. That is the fundamental repricing we're seeing in the market today.
Okay.
The market is realizing that the logic inside these expensive apps is no longer scarce. AI generates logic on demand.
So the software era is basically companies saying, why am I paying you $1 million a year for this bloated piece of software when I can just tell the AI to build me a streamlined version of it?
That's the question every CFO is asking this morning. And the evidence that this is happening is, well, it's piling up fast. It's not theoretical anymore.
The stories are wild. I saw this report about the CTO of Vercel. He apparently finished a project that was scheduled to take a full year. He did it in 1 week using Claude.
1 week.
Yeah.
Just think about that. That is a 52x productivity gain.
Yeah.
Think about the implications of that for a second.
I mean,
if you can build a year's worth of roadmap in a week, do you need a team of 50 engineers? Do you need to buy 5 different third-party integrations?
well, that's the scary part for the labor market, which we'll touch on. But for the software market, it's existential. I also saw a story in our stack about a CEO who completely scrapped his hiring plans for the year.
Because of the tool?
Yes, because the tool made him effectively 5 times more productive. He just didn't need the extra bodies anymore.
And it's not just technical leaders. There's the hobbyist angle that often signals the big shift is coming. People are building custom MRI viewers.
I saw that custom medical imaging software built by a guy in his garage.
Yes. And on the lighter side, apps for tracking self-sustaining tomato growth.
Right.
The point is the barrier to entry for creating software has dropped to near zero. And when the barrier drops, the scarcity value evaporates.
But I have to play devil's advocate here. We are in a frenzy. We've seen hype cycles before.
Of course.
Remember the metaverse? Remember when every company was going to be a blockchain company? Is the market overreacting? Is Selfware actually robust enough to replace an enterprise Salesforce instance that has, 20 years of compliance features built in?
That is the valid counterpoint. And right now, no. You probably aren't going to replace a global enterprise ERP system with a script you wrote this weekend.
Right.
Security, compliance, maintenance, those are real issues.
Exactly. Who fixes the Selfware when it breaks at 3 a.m.?
The AI fixes it, presumably. But your point stands, there is a friction layer. However, markets trade on future value.
True.
Even if Selfware doesn't kill Salesforce tomorrow, if it eats the bottom 20% of the market, the SMBs, the startups, the internal tools, that destroys the growth narratives that support these massive stock valuations.
So it's death by 1,000 cuts.
It's a repricing of the entire sector based on a new technological reality.
So the moat is gone, or at least the moat is filled with alligators and the drawbridge is broken.
The moat has definitely shifted.
Yeah.
The moat is no longer the code. The code is cheap. The moat is the data you own.
And the trust you've earned.
And the trust you've earned. But the software itself, the interface, that's becoming a commodity.
It reminds me of the Blockbuster analogy.
It's the most apt comparison. Blockbuster made money on late fees and rental friction. Netflix removed the friction. SaaS makes money on seat licenses and feature gating. Selfware removes the need for the seat license. Why pay $30 a month for a pro feature when I can just ask the AI to code that feature for me for 3 cents?
That is the killer logic. If the feature costs 3 cents to generate, you can't charge $30 a month for it. The margin collapses.
Exactly.
So the Selfware revolution is effectively draining value out of the application layer companies like Salesforce and Adobe, and it's funneling it somewhere else. The money isn't disappearing. It's moving downstairs to the infrastructure layer.
And the company sitting at the bottom of that funnel, catching all that falling value, is OpenAI.
Which brings us to segment 2. OpenAI released their numbers, and they are massive. But here is the paradox. We just established that OpenAI is the big winner here. They are the new operating system.
They are.
Yet when we look at their financials, they seem surprisingly thirsty for cash.
Thirsty is a polite way to put it. Let's break down the blog post from their CFO, Sarah Fryer. They hit $20 billion in annual recurring revenue, ARR, in 2025.
$20 billion. Just to contextualize that puts them in the league of companies that have been around for decades.
Yes, and the speed is what matters. That is up from $6 billion in 2024.
Wow.
That is more than 3x growth in a single year. For a company of that size to triple revenue, that is effectively unheard of in the history of corporate finance.
And the compute usage is tracking right along with it.
Compute usage grew 3.5x, going from 0.6 gigawatts to 1.9 gigawatts. They are burning power as fast as they are making money.
I want to compare this to Anthropic for a second. We just talked about how Anthropic's Claude Code is the tool disrupting the market. How do their financials stack up against OpenAI?
So really interesting contrast. OpenAI is at $20 billion. Anthropic is estimated at about $9 billion. So OpenAI is roughly double the size in terms of revenue.
Okay, so OpenAI is still the King Kong of the industry.
In absolute numbers, yes.
Yeah.
But here is the nuance, and this is why you listen to the deep dive. Anthropic is actually growing faster.
Really?
Yes. Anthropic started 2025 at around $1 billion. They grew to $9 billion. That is a 9x growth rate.
9x?
OpenAI grew 3.5x. So Anthropic is accelerating faster. They're catching up. The gap is closing.
That is a crucial detail. But there is another gap that is, well, it's widening. And that's the spending gap. This is where the numbers start to look less like business and more like, I don't know, sci-fi.
This is the jaw dropper.
Right.
OpenAI has committed, get this, $1.4 trillion in infrastructure spending over the next 8 years.
Trillion, with a T.
Right.
That's the GDP of a mid-sized country.
Spain or Indonesia levels of money. Yes.
Oh, that's insane.
They are building data centers with SoftBank, Oracle, NVIDIA. They are basically trying to re-architect the world's power and compute grid. Now, contrast that with Anthropic.
What's Anthropic spending?
They've committed about $50 billion to Fluid Stack, and they rely mostly on Amazon's cloud.
50 billion versus 1.4 trillion. That's not even the same sport. That's not even the same planet.
It reflects two different philosophies.
Yeah.
Anthropic is betting on efficiency.
Yeah.
They are trying to be the smarter, leaner model. OpenAI is betting on brute force scale. They believe that whoever owns the most compute wins the AGI race, period. They are betting the entire farm and the neighbor's farm on it.
But despite that $20 billion in revenue and despite these trillion-dollar plans, they still need more cash now. Which brings us to the controversy, the pivot to ads.
Yes. This is the news that has a lot of users upset. OpenAI is officially testing sponsored recommendations in ChatGPT.
This is for the free tier and this new Go tier, right?
Correct. They launched a ChatGPT Go tier globally for $8 a month. It's cheaper than the Pro tier, but it includes ads to subsidize the cost.
I have to admit, as a user, this feels a little bit like a betrayal. I remember Sam Altman saying back in 2024 that ads were a last resort.
She was very high-minded about it.
Very. We don't want to be in ad business.
He was very firm about it. But recently, the tone shifted to not totally against it. And now, well, here we are.
So, expert analysis time. Does this signal maturity like, hey, we're a real business now, businesses sell ads? Or does it signal weakness like, our subscription growth is slowing, we need to squeeze more money out?
It's likely a bit of both, but I lean toward it being a necessary step for their IPO.
Ah, the IPO angle.
We know they're eyeing a late 2026 IPO. They hired Fidji Simo from Instacart, who is an ads veteran. Wall Street loves ad revenue.
Yeah.
It's high margin.
Sure.
If they want that massive valuation when they go public, showing a diversified revenue stream beyond just subscriptions is, well, it's smart business.
But isn't there a risk here? A huge risk? If I'm asking ChatGPT for medical advice or legal help, do I want sponsored content influencing the answer? That seems dangerous.
It is a massive risk to trust. If the model recommends a specific lawyer because that lawyer paid for the slot, the utility of the tool degrades instantly.
It's compromise.
They have to tread very, very carefully. If it feels like Google Search 2.0 just cluttered with ads, people might switch to Anthropic just for the clean interface.
Right. If Anthropic stays ad-free, that becomes their differentiator. The AI that works for you, not for the advertiser.
Exactly. It opens a competitive flank, a huge one.
Before we leave the corporate drama, we have to touch on thinking machines. This is the startup led by Mira Murati, the former OpenAI CTO.
Right. This was supposed to be the next big thing, a $50 billion valuation right out of the gate. But it sounds like chaos over there.
It sounds like a soap opera. She fired a co-founder, Barrett Zoff, during an all-hands meeting.
Yes. Fired him for poor performance in talking to competitors.
Yeah.
And in the same week, 2 researchers quit via Slack.
Just gone.
And 4 of those 5 people went right back to OpenAI.
Ouch.
It shows that even the biggest names, and Mira Murati is a huge name, aren't safe from the volatility of this industry. Investors are rattled, and rightly so.
Of course.
It's a reminder that talent density is fragile. You can lose your brain trust in an afternoon if the culture isn't right.
Absolutely. So we have software stocks crashing, OpenAI spending trillions, and startups imploding. It feels like the industry is hitting the physical limits of growth. Which brings us to the man who ignores limits for a living. Elon Musk and XAI. Segment 3. The infrastructure wars.
This is where the physical reality of AI really hits home. We talk about the cloud, but the cloud is just buildings full of hot metal.
Right.
XAI just announced that Colossus 2 is live.
This is their new training cluster.
Yeah.
And the spec is 1 gigawatt.
1 gigawatt. Just to visualize that for our listeners, that power load exceeds the entire peak electricity demand of the city of San Francisco.
It is mind-boggling. One computer cluster uses more juice than a city of 800,000 people. How is that even possible on the grid?
It's barely possible. And they aren't stopping. They're upgrading to 1.5 gigawatts in April, and they just bought a facility in Memphis, which they are hilariously calling macro harder, to reach 2 gigawatts.
I love the name. Very Elon. But there is a strategy difference here, right? You call it Elon speed.
Yes. Compare XAI to OpenAI and Anthropic. OpenAI relies on Microsoft to build the data centers. Anthropic relies on Amazon.
The big cloud providers.
Right, and those are massive bureaucracies.
Huh.
XAI is vertically integrated. They're building their own facilities. They're buying the buildings, plugging in the cables, negotiating the power deals directly.
I have to push back on this Elon speed narrative for a second, though. It sounds great in a tweet, but we're talking about the U.S. power grid. You can't just move fast and break things when you're dealing with regulated utilities and federal oversight. Is this actually sustainable, or is he just bypassing safety checks that are there for a reason?
That is the friction point. He is bypassing checks.
He is.
In Memphis, they ran portable gas turbines because the grid connection wasn't ready. It was loud, it was dirty, and the local community was furious.
Okay, so it's not magic, it's just brute force.
It's brute force applied to bureaucracy.
Yeah.
While Microsoft is stuck in committee meetings waiting for a permit, XAI is paying the fine and turning the machine on. It's a calculated risk that the speed of training is worth more than the cost of the regulatory cleanup.
So while Microsoft negotiates, Elon is just buying the power plant.
Exactly. It's Elon speed versus corporate speed.
Yeah.
We saw this with Tesla. We saw it with SpaceX. He believed that if you control the physical layer, you can move faster than anyone else. And frankly, getting a gigawatt cluster online this fast is technically unprecedented.
But of course, it wouldn't be an Elon story without a massive lawsuit attached to it.
The soap opera continues. The trial between Musk and OpenAI is set for April, and things are getting nasty.
He's seeking $134 billion in damages.
$134 billion. He claims OpenAI betrayed its founding mission. And both sides are leaking evidence like crazy.
I saw the stuff about Greg Brockman's journal from 2017.
Yes, Musk is using Brockman's own journal to show that there were fears of Musk controlling everything. And Musk is claiming Sam Altman is cherry-picking evidence.
Why does this matter to us other than for the popcorn value?
It matters because it's a battle over the origin story of AGI. And potentially, if Musk wins any significant damages, it could cripple OpenAI financially.
Yeah.
Right as they're trying to spend those trillions on infrastructure.
It's an existential threat.
It's a massive distraction, at the very least.
April's going to be a very entertaining month in court. Okay, let's shift gears. We've talked about the titans OpenAI, XAI, Anthropic betting on bigger, hotter, more expensive models. Brute force.
Right.
But is there another way? Segment 4 is about the new guard.
This is the stuff that gets me excited because it's actual innovation, not just scaling up. We need to talk about Modulate.
Modulate. They are doing something different with audio ensembles. Now explain this to me like I'm 5 years old, because heterogeneous ensembles sounds like a progressive rock band.
Oh, fair enough. So think of a standard LLM, like GPT-4, as a general contractor. You ask it to fix your house, and it tries to do the plumbing, the electrical, and the painting all by itself. It's huge, expensive, and sometimes it paints over the electrical outlets because it's trying to do too much.
A jack of all trades, master of none, and very expensive to hire.
Right. Modulate's ensemble approach is different. It's not one brain, it's a room full of specialists. They have a tiny, cheap model that only knows how to detect sarcasm, another tiny model that only detects background noise, another that handles translation.
So instead of firing up the entire massive brain just to check if a user's angry, you just wake up the little anger guy.
Exactly. This is why it's cheaper and faster. You aren't processing billions of parameters for a simple task. You are routing the signal to the specific lightweight expert required. It's sparse computing versus dense computing.
And the use cases are fascinatingly human. I saw the fraud detection one, spotting manipulative callers.
Yes, a food delivery company is using it. Apparently, people call in and use emotional manipulation, getting angry or crying to scam drivers or get free meals.
Wow.
The AI can analyze the vocal cues and flag, hey, this anger feels synthetic or manipulative, and warn the agent.
That is wild. But my favorite application was the empathy angle for the call center agents themselves.
This is great. Call center burnout is a huge problem. If the modulate system detects that an agent just handled a really aggressive, emotionally draining call, lots of screaming, stress markers, it can automatically grant them a short break.
Really?
It locks their screen for 5 minutes and says, take a breath.
That is a surprisingly empathetic use of AI. Usually we think of AI as the whip cracker, monitoring productivity. Here, it's protecting the human.
It is, and it protects at-risk users, too. It can detect vocal cues of distress, age, or confusion. So if a senior citizen calls and sounds confused, the AI recognizes that and routes them to a human immediately, rather than trapping them in a bot loop.
That is the kind of AI utility I like to see, solving real friction points rather than just generating poems.
Exactly.
Speaking of safety and trust, we have a new player in town, AVRI.
This is a big deal for the governance side of things. Miles Brundage, the former policy lead at OpenAI, launched this nonprofit.
And the goal is third-party audits, which feels long overdue.
Finally. Right now, we rely on level 1 self-testing. That means OpenAI tests OpenAI's models and tells us it's safe. Anthropic tests Anthropic.
Which is like a student grading their own homework, or a bank auditing its own vault.
Exactly. AVRI wants to move us toward level 4, which is treaty-grade verification, independent third-party auditors who come in and check the systems. They want to be the underwriters' laboratories of AI.
Brundage had a quote that gave me chills. He said the donors to this nonprofit include lab employees who know where the bodies are buried.
It is an ominous quote, but it signals that there are people inside these companies, at OpenAI, at Google, at Anthropic, who know that the safety checks aren't rigorous enough.
Right.
They want external scrutiny. They are effectively funding their own police force.
It's a shift from trust us to prove it. And in a year where we have 1 gigawatt clusters coming online, prove it sounds like a good policy.
It's essential. If XAI is plugging in a gigawatt of compute, we need to know what that compute is actually doing.
Okay, let's wrap this up. We have covered a massive amount of ground today.
We really have. Let's do a rapid-fire recap.
Number 1, the software market is crashing because investors realized AI, this Selfware idea, can write code better and faster than humans, potentially killing the SaaS business model of renting seat licenses.
Number 2, OpenAI is a financial juggernaut making $20 billion, but they are spending trillions on infrastructure and turning to ads to fund the machine. The winner is expensive.
Number 3, Elon Musk is building power plants and plugging in supercomputers faster than regulation can keep up, betting on vertical integration to win the race.
And number 4, we are finally seeing a move towards specialized, efficient AI models like Modulate and real external accountability with AVRI.
I want to briefly mention one last stat before we go, the Anthropic Economic Index, just to calm everyone's nerves after talking about the death of SaaS and automated coding.
Yes, important context. Their data shows that right now, AI is mostly collaborating. It handles about a quarter of tasks in 50% of jobs. Full role replacement is still under 10%. Okay. So the robots aren't taking all the jobs tomorrow.
Not tomorrow, but the trajectory is clear. Which brings us to our final provocative thought for the day.
I've been thinking about this Selfware concept all morning, combined with the XAI power plant news.
It really sticks with you.
It does. It brings us back to the core theme of today, the physical constraint. We talked about software becoming infinite. Selfware means code is abundant. But we also talked about energy and safety being finite. The 1 gigawatt cluster, the audible safety checks.
So as code becomes cheap, the physical reality becomes expensive.
Exactly. The provocative thought for our listeners is this. In 2026, the digital world is effectively post-scarcity. You can generate any app, any text, any code for pennies. The new scarcity is reality. Real power grids, real human trust, real third-party audits. If you are an investor or an executive, stop looking for value in the code. Look for value in the constraints. Who owns the land? Who owns the power? Who owns the truth?
The map is not the territory and the code is not the infrastructure. A massive reality check to end the day.
That's the question for 2026.
Well, on that note, stop listening to us and go build something or buy some land before the market closes. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll see you tomorrow.
That wraps up today's briefing. The signal for today is disruption. We are seeing disruption in 3 dimensions. Financial, as SaaS stocks crash. Physical, as XAI brings a gigawatt of power online. And business model, as OpenAI pivots to advertising. The old rules of software, build once, sell subscriptions, are being rewritten by agents that can build anything on demand. Before we go, a reminder for the leaders listening. Are you drowning in dense legal text? JamgaMind is the new audio intelligence platform that turns 100-page healthcare or energy mandates into 5-minute executive briefings. Whether you are navigating Bill C-27, Canada, or the CMS 0057F interoperability rule, USA, our AI agents decode the liability so you don't have to. Start your specialized audio briefing today at jamgamind.com. This podcast is created and produced by Etienne Newman, senior software engineer and passionate soccer dad from Canada. Please subscribe and share. Until tomorrow, keep unraveling the future.